Well, here we go. We're jumping into game number 3. It's a best-of-1 now. ROX could take it. They looked good in the first couple of games we had. I think a ban on Sion is granted.
We get to revisit the Game 1 pick and ban, because that was the last time the ROX Tigers on blue side. At the time, it was Olaf, Jace, and Camille. And to me, Jace the most likely to slide out from those bans, and also I think Kingzone will first round Jace. It doesn't usually happen, but Khan has had a weird series where game 2, in spite of everything, was pretty good. We haven't seen him dominate lane. They have a red side advantage, so either last picking a true counter or taking an early Jace and then reinforcing somewhere else is a big possibility here. Does seem like it'll slip away. The Camille is one that will be considered. The bans have changed very, very significantly from game 1. So far, no common bans for Kingzone, only the Olaf for the side of ROX Tigers.
Yeah, the Azir ban especially up against BDD, who, yes, he is 6-1 on that right now, but certainly a very big targeted ban. It's a great champion as well. And we're also going to have Galio taken out of the mid lane, so still no Sion ban here.
So if we do see the Sion ban last, I mean, the first pick is pretty obvious. Very interesting point, because now the choice between Sion and Xayah Rakan, which I think will be a big ticket thing. Oh, Rakan is banned, I should apologize, but Sion certainly is going to be up there. The Varus is also very heavily going to be considered with the Olaf being available. So ROX Tigers are going to take their entire time here to decide where they want to go when it comes to first pick. Skarner available as well, but the Varus is the conspicuous one. We'll see what it promotes from Kingzone. Could be a return to the Caitlyn in this game, but a turn to the Sion, that part is expected.
God pray, God Kingzone. That's what a lot of people are saying, especially before now. And so just Sion immediately picked up, and then another Skarner, which was banned out in game 2. Here for Peanut, played it in game 1.
See where ROX Tigers want to go with their draft. They're happy to leave open Xayah Rakan. Sorry, I keep thinking that, but the Rakan man is trolling me. It's usually the Xayah Valdez.
He's hiding over there in the corner. It's gone very unseen so far.
Tom Kench against the Skarner is absolutely going to be a great pickup here to be able to deny and potentially delay some QSS purchases and allow the Varus to reach 2 items.
Yeah, and honestly, just taking it away from Gorilla is good enough for me. He's been having a very nice performance on that outside of the lane, I should say.
The first game from Sungwon on the Zac in game number 2. It's a good matchup into the Skarner as well, so I would actually enjoy a revisit on the Zac, especially because Kingzone didn't have a multi-step plan to make the Zac accountable. Zac got a free farm phase and then was camping bot lane in the ganks off. On the red side, we were wondering about 80 carry picks. This would be ultra safety and allow them to play make elsewhere. Usually when you see Sion and Skarner, you're thinking big damage from the 80 carry. 2 items. Definitely Ezreal fits that bill, but wouldn't be a hyper carry necessarily. It is going to be locked in. It also makes you think it's probably going to be a top lane Sion, although we have seen teams be successful with Ezreal and a low damage comp.
Praying Gorilla put together, and she loves him. I love them too. They had a really nice game too, even though they lost outside of the laning phase. Just after about 9 minutes, they were really popping off, trying to make up for some of their early mistakes.
Gorilla himself was feeding in those first 9 minutes, though. It was 0-3 as the laning phase is going on, so there was a lot to pay back, and I agree, some excellent escapes, but unfortunately they couldn't find any 50-50 with the laning phase, so have to hold them accountable when they are actually the lane that let the team down to promote what was, in the end, a very exciting game 2. Look at the bans here. Look at this. A Syndra ban going against Lava. It's an interesting one. We've seen more Syndra recently, for sure. Syndra's in that weird spot where if you pick a lot of tanks and an 80 carry, you usually think that, okay, Syndra's going to be useless, but she just one-shots the 80 carry. You run out of damage, so we'll see what that means. To me, it may be a small indication of it being mid-lane Sion, but I think this is time to get Khan a counter pick. The Jace is going to be available this far. Maybe the final ban. It's usually where they go. He is undefeated on the year on the Jace. Only ever lost a single game on Kingzone on Jace.
Hey, he's got some pretty good stats on that champion. He was very, very well known for that pick, so definitely one that's in the back of ROX Tigers' mind right now. And as you mentioned that, the Jace is going to be taken away. They're heavily targeting out Khan here. and they're respecting that mid Scion once again from BDD. So they may still go, they should go for the counter pick on the top side, but it's not going to be Jace.
Usually we would expect support at this pick. Alistair is a possibility to threaten the Varus, but doesn't have the reliability in fights. A lot of disengage going on. And consider the Braum just for a bit more tankiness, especially if you're fighting in a narrow corridor. So they don't actually go for threat. They stick with the Braum. It means that the unstoppable onslaught and in general Scion in the front line is going to be very important to actually disrupting fights. As Skarner can't do all the heavy lifting himself. Waiting to see where ROX Tigers want to go. Very much focusing on their solo lanes. Probably going to have to be ultra safety in both, as Sungyun's got his own champions to think about. Gnar should be locked in here. Again, the old favorite for Linderang.
Going to be blinding that Gnar, just saying, okay, come at me, Khan. What have you got for my Gnar?
And Ryze has that fun combo with the Zac ultimate we saw a couple of times recently and is open in this game and be preyed upon by a Skarner. But we're thinking of safe blind picks here for the mid lane. Certainly one of them. Orianna in past metas would be a big choice here, but here's a new meta champion.
Ooh.
The Cassiopeia is going to be opted into. You think of the Kingzone comp, but they don't have Jarvan and other champs that can gap close and really shut down the Cassio. Does have that extra item slot, so having the QSS in the mid game or even the late game doesn't count as much because you can have 5 other damage items. So interesting to track. The Cassio wasn't what I first thought of.
So you got some balls if you're going up against Scion Skarner and you're saying, okay, I'll play Cassiopeia with no real escape. Has some decent disengage if she can use it in time, that is. And looks like we are finally going to get to see Khan on the Camille in the top lane.
It does end up being Scion mid lane again. Very much a timings comp. Camille is a true carry. We saw Camille burst people for 1,000 damage 2 days ago. Yeah. But regardless, it's a catch comp. It is a pick comp from Kingzone. We don't see true pick comps. This is one of them. Banner of Command answers the Cassiopeia super well in the mid lane because even with Twin Fang on basically 0 cooldown, she cannot deal with the Banner minion. But Ezreal has been largely criticized in other regions. Prey hits 2 items. We'll see where the item build goes. Maybe an Iceborne Gauntlet this game just for a bit more control. And it's going to be about the timings. The timings went out of the window in game 2 with the Scion pick because bot lane was just dominated. This time it's Ezreal Braum. Very safe, very much ultra comfort for the two. We'll see what it all means. Even the Camille on returning to the Gnar matchup, it's really swung away. We've seen Gnars do very well against Camille in recent times. So we'll see how Khan can do after a bit of a muted series for one of the most hyped players in the world, a player who still in 2018 has not dropped a best of 3.
Very true. Linderang, got to give him some props. He's been handling the top lane up against Khan quite well. He's been holding his own, not dying, not getting solo killed. But this time around, he's up against Khan's Camille. That's the really scary moment. BDD gets his hands on the Scion. I know you were going nuts about the Scion in game 2. Would expect some more plays like that, Papa.
Interesting game here. I think this is one of those ones where Kingzone have to hit their timings. They don't have mixed damage, no Cogmore this time. It's really a roar and then no other magic damage. So the early mid game needs to be way better, Valdez.
No doubt Kingzone confident to pull it off. Let's jump into game number 3 of this crazy series. Well, the fans trying to push him forward as much as they humanly can, and so far they've been quite nice in terms of cheering for both teams. As I mentioned, applause for the ROX Tigers as they walked out of the booth after winning game 2.
It means so much for their season. I think the fans know that a win, even a game win here, helps their game score.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of assume every team will lose 2-0 to Kingzone, but not the Kingzone we've seen today. They've been very poor. Overall, even if there's been trademark great moments from the players, it hasn't been the Kingzone that very easily dispatched BBQ just 2 days ago. And ROX have been able to correct what was a very poor read on patch 8.4. On 8.4, after just dominating in recent series on 8.3, they looked lost. They had some ideas but didn't have the full playbook. Ended up going down very easily first against MVP. and then in their second match against the Freaka Freaks. So for them to show up here in the manner they have, they've been easily the better team and are frustrated that they're not 2-0 up. It's very important for them as they are truly a playoff contender.
Surely they are, and we've been looking down at the bottom lane. Generally, you don't see kills happen in the 2v2, but
we've had one in each game.
Yeah, one each game going Kingzone side in game 1 and then ROX's side in game 2.
So what you're saying is one of the few predictors we have to watch is the team that gets the solo kill in the 2v2 are the winners.
Hey, that works out so far. But as you mentioned, you know, if Prey and Gorilla have a normal Prey and Gorilla bottom lane, we should be looking at a much more competitive game and a much stronger game from the side of Kingzone. We'll see if they don't make any mistakes against the Tahm Kench.
It's very much a pick comp, pylon comp from Kingzone in the mid game. So I think it's a lot about Prey hitting the Mana Moon, getting his way towards second item. I'm thinking Iceborne Gauntlet, but Trinity Force is certainly going to be a question there. And then Gorilla grouping with his team, Prey playing safe and trying to actually be super proactive early to mid. That was not allowed for the team in game number 2. After they made their big mistakes around the 2v2 and Peanut on the Nidalee couldn't make the playmaking happen. This time it's Predator Skarner, so he definitely has more of a go button than in previous series, and he's actually around the mid lane. Note the phase rush, so the slow is going to be as useful here.
They get the slow here on the Lava. He's having a lot of trouble. The flash coming in, and actually, Miasma helping out here. Peanut cannot get on top of Lava, but the flash is burned.
And that's good to hit the summoner, but yes, the follow flash wasn't going to be able to be possible with the grounded effect. Sion still showing why he's prized. The gank assist insane as early as level 3. No summoner onto the Cassiopeia. Overextending in top. A lot of safety in the mid lane. And now Skarner will return to hopefully emerge next time at level 6.
You can see that Lava was struggling with the decision. It was pushing towards...
we Roman real early.
Yeah. It was pushing towards Sion, so BDD was freezing it, and he missed so much as a mid laner if that happens. So 4 members coming into the mid lane just in case to help out against Peanut.
It was a very early call by the bot lane and knew they would be zoned out if it went back down the river, so had to go all the way around. Didn't lose any CS from it, but probably missed a bit of experience. Unable to play aggressively on the top side. Was mentioning this, we've had a couple of matchups really swing. Nara versus Gangplank ended up being Gangplank focused as the season went on, or the Gangplank favorite. The Camille was seen as a true counterpick into Nara, but we've seen a lot of Camille struggle. This one is allowed to play very aggressively, so more set up for success than previous Camille's, and so far so good for the laning phase, you'd say, for Khan.
Yeah, thinking about recalling here is pretty low on mana, knows that Linderong is going to go back and TP back in the lane, so decides to do just the same. Stay on top of Linderong and try to push that advantage as much as possible.
As he comes in second, he's able to see that Linderong went double Dorans for lane control against the Camille and match the double Dorans and go longsword into the Tiamat. So, and to get the advantageous buy there, but nothing massive between the two top laners.
And struggles again for Lava in the mid lane. Doesn't have his flash, so he has to be a lot more passive in the lane. And you'll notice that the CS gap does widen once again, but they're trying to get onto BDD here, forces the flash out of him this time around.
Very early flash. Of course, if you hold on to your flash against Miasma, you might not be able to use it when you need it. But shows ultra safety there as Peanut was tussling with his wolves, so wasn't going to be able to get there. Now Linderong gets the push on top side, so that's why we see the Zac push up for a ward. So it's fun to see teams being a lot more controlled around their minions. This attempted to steal, gets a lot of the small Raptors, but he's going to be turned on.
You got to be so careful doing something like that. It's going to be very hard for Lava to make his way over. Trying to hop the wall. He's going to knock a couple heads together, but now they're turning onto Lava. Kind of uncoordinated there, not going for one target, letting Sungwon get away.
I think it was one of those awkward things where they realized if they used everything onto just the one target, Cassio could potentially, over time, clean up. So they went defensive on the last call by BDD rather than offensive as we're fighting again.
Lava right in front of them with no flash. Again, he has his heal. He's got to blow it, but it's not enough. First blood given on over to the side of BDD.
Yeah, gets experience from the minion dying and is able to ult him to kill him. Very strange laning phase from Lava there. Just a straight up 2v2 mistake. Nothing else you can say. Not what the team wanted to see after Game 2 being a return to form. Game 1, less said about that, the better. But big problem there. Very, very early death, and BD gets the control. Watch the replay. BD had already used his Q, and then Lava thought, okay, it's my time to walk up, but Peanut is shadowing Seongwon. The Q misses from Seongwon, and then, well, he's dead.
Observer trolling, not letting us see the kill once again, but it was pretty much just, we knew what was going to happen.
Observer confirmed ROX fan, doesn't want to believe it happened. He's like, I don't know, I couldn't see it.
Please stop being mean to Lava.
Nice little advanced ward here around the blast cone. Shows that Khan can look for the outplay. Back away. Top lane, completely even, so not Camille favored like it was early in the season. Mid lane, well, enjoy those items there, Lava.
Yeah.
Banner of Command going to be the rush.
Just stacking up all the MR he can possibly get. And Lava knows that he's just playing the game of survive as much as possible while trying to scale as the Cassiopeia. We'll see if he can do it, especially as Peanut is nearing level 6. You'll notice the experience bar in the bottom left. He's just a camp or two away from that. And once he hits 6 with his own flash, that's going to be fun times for him.
Lava himself about to get his flash back up. Will be necessary, like you say, given that Peanut's ready to patrol. Mid lane is a free gank if they hit one CC ability, because then they will chain it into the Skarner ultimate. Goodbye to the Cassiopeia. So while it's not a traditional lane, jungle mid lane duo to bully a Cassio, they're making one work because of BDD's strong lane and gank assistance on the Scion.
You'll notice she's not pushing at all because she wants to push into her just as much safe farming as humanly possible. So you'll notice that already a CS gap in the mid lane after dying that one time, and even early on. At least the bottom lane this time around, no big mistakes from either side.
My impression is that the Cassiopeia was picked largely for the Miasma, because you consider team fights, Miasma can stuff so much engage from first Khan and his hook shot, but also the Flash Skarner ultimate, also the Ezreal Arcane Shift, so it has a lot of utility value, but the early laning phase and just the fact that Scion has great gank assist means that getting there is going to be trickier. And perhaps the game would have been decided by 30 minutes regardless of what mid laner there was. So going for a bit of a susceptible mid laner does allow Seongwon, who ends up actually taking the blue buff, all things considered. Lava having enough lane presence in the early to mid game is one of the ways they get to the late game they're already favored in. So you wonder if the Cassio was a bet too far.
Level 6 Peanut, there's the Predator, but at least Seongwon in good position to delay that. But look at this, first roam coming on in from BDD as the ultimate is used. But Seongwon just slingshots over the wall and says, haha, I'm out.
Can't even get a flash from it. Ends up being a wrong trade there. Maybe got the call that Elastic Slingshot was on cooldown, but no Skarner ultimate used, nothing to gain. Scion ult, very long cooldown at early levels with no CDR in the build, so that's happy news for Lava, who just wants to farm, like we mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Lava was so scared in the mid lane even just to go towards the blue buff. She was putting down wards as he went and trying to get in there. Even the blue buff had to go over to Seongwon. It's just not fun times for anyone up against a Scion-Skarner combination.
And you follow that logic, you've also had to see that Seongwon has to play extensively around mid lane. Well, guess who's been on a longer leash for the first time in a while? Prey and Gorilla. No 2v2 kills, pre 10 minutes. No real pressure, and ganking in Ezreal Braum is always an exercise in frustration, so they've finally navigated themselves a very safe lane. I think teams would go well to ban away the Ezreal against Kingzone in future series, because this is always their fallback plan of ultra-safe bottom lane. They have a great execution on. We know that Prey is one of the best Ezreals of all time, and this is kind of their easiest way to get out of any sort of chain ganks, just going for an almost ungankable duo.
You mentioned one of the best Ezreals so far in this season. He's 11-3, so having a lot of fun on the pick.
Hey, that only says he's one of the most Ezreal, but the win rate, to some degree relevant. It is Kingzone who win a lot, but it is a fallback plan for them. It is safety for them, and giving safety to the bot lane has been one of the best ways for Kingzone to find leads. You could argue it's how they won their LCK summer title, was Prey and Gorilla being reliable, while specifically Khan was on a long leash to carry.
Speaking of carrying, the Camille having trouble early in in terms of the CSing, getting poked out a bit. They're looking to engage onto the Scion here. Let's see if they can get that. The Miasma not in position, but at least they forced the flash away from the Let's Bounce as BDD gets out of dodge again.
Definitely a preview of future fights where the Miasma will be used to guarantee the Let's Bounce. That time didn't work out. Get another summoner from BDD. They continue to delay the pace. It's all about delaying the pace for ROX Tigers. They'll be very happy. Find there being no significant lead for Kingzone. About 1,000 gold. Trying to add an Ocean Drake to it. This is going to be contested.
3v3 at the Drake. BDD has his ultimate, trying to get the steal. No damage coming in. There's that ultimate right onto Key, and it's going to go over to Kingzone as Peanut does fight that out. Someone trying to flash away, but the Magnar coming in, trying to get on top of Prey.
Oh!
There's the double stun, and enough damage to get down at least Prey. Can they get anything else is the real question. Khan all alone here. Someone has to be careful. Looks like finally Gorilla went down off screen to Songyun and Key, who pick it up.
Khan was out of the fight the entire time, looked for the ability to go all the way around and flank, but ended up flanking himself because ROX Tigers could play his 5, focus on the low health members. Great Gnar ultimate from Linderong, and they're looking to break the mid lane turret from all of this.
The TP is even being used here by BDD just to make sure that it will not go down just yet, but nice little fight there for the ROX Tigers. The Drake does go over to the side of Kingzone, though, have to note.
Very uncharacteristic problems where it seems like Khan had a different read on the team fight than the rest of the team. They should have known that Cassiopeia could come straight through the middle and get a lot of value, and by the time Khan's flank ended, there was no one for him to fight around. He is still on the Rift, though. He still hasn't gone for the recall, so he's looking for a bit of turret damage. Watch the replay. Songwon goes for the contest, which is at a time when Kingzone is considered to be in a stronger phase, but Ezreal doesn't have his items, he doesn't burst. The teleport comes in from Khan, but he never gets the fight. And meanwhile, Lava comes in. This time the Miasma is on point. Linderong's transformation, beautiful poetry in motion in the back of the fight. That means that Khan ends up getting nothing out of all of it.
We got a fight here, BDD in the mid lane, as someone trying to do the damage, but again, it's Scion, and they don't have enough. Meanwhile, the turret almost went down, so nearly worth it. The banner already completed for BDD, doing the pushing.
3 members can't quite take the turret. 3 melee champions means they don't have the extra autos. The Kingzone trying to accelerate the pace of the game. Close, but no cigar that time. As now they're looking for a gank bot side.
Yeah, waiting on that one. The Hextech ultimatum coming in. The double stun as Linderong is having a great game on Gnar. Can he survive for long enough? Looks like he can for Sowon to come on in, and they will back off.
Yeah, really with Skarner ultimate, he'd already started disengaging after the Hextech ultimatum, understanding that with no stun hitting, they didn't have the damage. Still no purchase. It's a Ninja Tabi Ruby Crystal Longsword Camille. The burst is not there yet, so once again, you have to say the communication not looking too strong. The chance of that being pulled off was 0%.
Got to be careful about how you engage, especially if someone could get there earlier in that fight. Perhaps they could have made a turnaround onto Peanut or Khan. Not super tanky either of them just yet.
Now, duo lane is top side, even with the turrets up. That's a happy configuration for Kingzone. They're very much about 2 items being on the Ezreal and getting the Baron. We already mentioned that when you see mid lane Scion, it's a Baron as close to off spawn as possible into a big Banon push, given that Banner of Command is the core item. So with this lane assignment, they can start to clear vision and eventually get forward vision if they can get some lane control. Iris found himself a nice CS lead after all the rotations have happening on the map. One day, this Camille will go for a shot. It's probably going to be a big one.
Yeah, Khan and Linderong both hoping for a shop, and another TP is used. This time it's Gorilla with the Unsealed Spellbook to save this mid turret. You can tell they're looking for a play with Abyssal Voyage or just a kidnap from Sungwon. Everybody's in position looking for some kind of pick.
A lot of it
gonna happen.
A lot of it will be on that Miasma we mentioned already. Miasma is the amazing tool to guarantee the Zac. It's almost a Hextech ultimatum in a much shorter cooldown. Someone setting up for a dive. There's the Miasma.
4 members grouped up, and they decide not to go for it just yet. Still scared, even with Linderong reaching near Mega Gnar, but they hold off. patience, but now the Chains of Corruption's coming into the kidnap, and Gorilla all alone is going to go down to 5 members of ROX. Now they'll begin pushing.
And that's the reason why Biggs can go again and again, and the miasma's on such a short cooldown that eventually you'll get the objective you're setting up for. So big cheers, the ROX Tigers fans. Camille's
might not
bot
be
lane.
done. They're going for this. It's Key and Linderong, and one hook shot is going to dispel that.
Peanut's going for a pick here. Sungyun's already healed.
Yeah, the heal comes in, and they got a Scion to ult in the front. Look at that damage. He finally goes down as ROX cannot save them. The hookshot is going to interrupt that, in fact, with the flash devour. Key trying to be the hero this time around. It looks like he will get over the wall. Nice job by Key. We'll see if he can make it out now. It looks like perhaps as Linderong with the Meganar looking to come and help with the 2v2. We got the big rotation coming in from Kingzone. They might just give away the Tahm Kench, and that they will. Just 1 kill going over.
Base damages on the Scion are so relevant 17 minutes into the game. Deletion damage, as Skarner is no high damage champion at all. Able to keep up a couple of picks. They need to have this gold lead to make the Scion mid lane comp work. Working on the Trinity Force, working on the double Trinity Force spike. That is when Kingzone will be at their single strongest moment this entire game. And that is when they need to start rolling for specifically the Baron. We'll get the replay here. Sungyun realized there was vision that Russia knew he was doomed. The heal wasn't going to be enough. The flash to safety didn't come, and that is insane base damages from the Scion. They went for the maximum from this. Tahm Kench is there to trade his life, you'd have to say. That was actually an auto attack from Khan to allow the Zac over the wall. So a little bit too late, but they do end up getting Key at the end.
Well, ROX Tigers, after all of that, is going to go for the Ocean Drake. Things have calmed down relatively here in game number 3. Only 6 kills in 18 minutes. Pretty standard for LCK overall, but non-standard for this series.
Probably means that Kingzone, the coach just said, calm down, guys. You're rushing your plays. They've been very, very aggressive this series to the advantage of ROX. ROX have made the better decisions in almost every scenario, especially pre-20 minutes in our first 2 games. So this is the window. Circle the screen, pause the game, 1852. Trinity Force, double Trinity Force spike, soon to be Muramana, and predictably BDD unkillable to magic damage. This is when Kingzone, there's really no way to answer this with items on the enemy team. Even if you're ahead in gold, these spikes are massive for Kingzone. So they're willing to fight for everything, and ROX are going to have to outplay them in the fight to win a true 5v5.
Certainly they will. They're thinking about this Rift Herald, but they have to be so careful. The side of Peanut, he's got his Predator ready to go, his Flash Ultimate ready. Anybody who's at danger of being picked and launched into so much CC on the side of Kingzone. So they're going to take control with the threat of all that here towards the Rift Herald now.
They're at the point in the game where they have the pick CC and the pick damage, so they're kind of the sum of their ward line. If you get control wards in front of an objective, ROX Tigers checking is 99% of the time the wrong decision, and that means that objectives will go your way for the side of Kingzone. So they're moving up that control ward line. Sungwon trying to get vision where he can and maybe even use the sweeper to peek on if anyone is right on the edge of that river brush. Kingzone being divided across the map is good news for ROX because it means that the extra damage will not be hitting as there is that Muramana transformation we were alluding to around 20 minutes for prep.
So far as no action currently, we have Khan with the most damage so far. Has been heavily trading into the Gnar. Even with the delay on the Trinity Force, but it eventually came out, and Camille will be scary. As you mentioned, you got to get some items before this Camille comes online. Khan hasn't had too much opportunity just yet to do his very Khan-esque plays.
You can tell it's about timings for Kingzone because Khan actually sold his Doran Blade to finish the Trinity Force as early as possible. That's why his items look so bare compared to his opponent. Controls side wave, he's in a good position of power. Still can't take every trade against the Gnar because the back-end trades from the ranged mini Gnar will be big. Kingzone looking for a way to shut down Sungyun.
They got to get the Devour, but now it's 3-on-1. The Flash comes in to save him. So a nice job by Key to make sure that he was okay. Did pick up Cleanse, by the way, as well with his own unsealed spellbook. So if any stun went on to him, he still could have pulled off that play.
Amusing that at the end of the day, the Olaf and the Sion actually have quite a bit of overlapping counterplay against the Varus, because Varus throws out the ult and Sion's like, well, sorry, immune to CC.
Yeah.
Looked for the close there. Sangyun keeps up his flash though, so while the Tahm Kench may be vulnerable, Sangyun's flash is of higher value, so that's still good news. And the ult cooldown is still relevant at level 2 for BDD.
Certainly is. I said Cleanse on Key, and he does have it, but he also has QSS. So he wants to make sure that in no point in time in this game is he being CC'd at all.
I like to see ROX grouping. They understand that they can force an objective away inside of King Zone, and gold trades right now, where next items will obviously make King Zone more powerful, but they will relatively buff ROX. There being more gold in the game is a buff to ROX Tigers because of the mid lane Sion slowing down the damage dealing potential of King Zone. That they can't actually wrestle full control onto the Baron. Bray is very, very strong, but Camille taking this turret is good news for King Zone. It feels like this game will be decided pre-30 minutes one way or the other. And right now, we're just at the opening credits for what should be a very amusing next 8 minutes or so, where the game is up there to be won, and thus the series, which is so important both ways.
Now, it was an interesting trade there for the ROX Tigers. They go up and get that top tier 1, but Camille trades it in the bottom side, and the mid tier 2 actually took a healthy bit of damage. Prey had double buff, and so he was chunking it down pretty fast. But again, it's all delayed as King Zone still can't find a true engage onto anyone. No further kills, no available play towards the Baron just yet.
In the side lane, Cassio staring at the banner minion, wondering what to do. He's going through the mid lane.
Trying to get out to Sangyun again, and it's going to be a double knock up there, and does get the Devourer off, though. The Kidnap 3 members under the turret, but they get on top of Sangyun, and that one Kidnap actually kidnapped Sangyun's life as the Skarner said, thank you very much. Key's going to go down as well. You said decided before 30 minutes. Well, at 23 minutes, King Zone in a great position now.
And they were looking for the Tahm Kench. They knew his flash was down. Speaking of flashes.
Yeah, Lava got a flash away from that engage. Is Khan not going to Hextech Ultimatum. They want to go onto the Baron now after taking out that in their mid turret.
They finally found a way to make a flash being down punished. And that was Key's flash being on cooldown. They weren't looking for Sangyun, too hard to stop, but the Thresh goes down instantly. King Zone being very defensive around this round. They haven't started it yet, looking for Songwan.
Yeah, they want to get an engage here, and the hookshot stun is going to come in as Hextech Ultimatum. Nice disengage from Lava with the Miasma, doing actually a lot of damage to Khan up in the top side. They all stay alive after all the ultimates were used there as King Zone, they go for the pick. It doesn't pay off.
The Petrifying Gaze was massive in that choke as well as they chased on to get the smite and thus guarantee a Baron. King Zone kind of have to make the relative walk of shame and go for the Ocean Drake. So the Cloud Drake, that should be a lot easier to pick up. They're transferring their power. They're down bot side, but you can see Key and Sangyun looking to fight here anyway.
Yeah, before the Cloud Drake comes the red buff. Want to keep that on to Prey as much as possible. Certainly helps out with this poking. So just a couple of kills, and King Zone now about 2,000 gold ahead. It's not a huge lead, it's not a gigantic objective, but they're slowly chipping away. Question is it enough to push this game before ROX Tigers can scale up?
Getting very, very close to that point, Valdez. So again, we come back to how King Zone win. The sum of their control vision to get a pick, and also their understanding of cooldowns. Flash down on Songwan, he's a target. Lava's flash down, he's a target. Also, importantly, Key does have flash and soon to be QSS available, so he will be able to repel one single pick, but it's all about King Zone finding that correct pick, finding that correct decision. For now, going wide again is their choice, and that means they give up the Baron control they desperately want.
Got an engage here. BDD's in the bottom side, and where are you going to go when your Hextech Ultimatum is going to go down is the answer. BDD crushes him with the help of Khan.
The Jaws theme playing over that ultimate. Too easy. Hextech Ultimatum makes that one undodgeable. Khan will push in bot side. They make this a long lane. There's the Bannon minion, or I wish we just say a bannered up minion. To start the push. That will draw Sangyun and Key. That means that Baron's going to be started top side, or at minimum Baron control.
They take all the control. Kingzone have been extremely careful about starting this Baron. They know if it gets stolen, they could just, have ROX buy themselves so much time. Scrying Plant is going to come in as someone, he's looking for it. See if he can actually pull it off.
But he doesn't have the ultimate to interrupt. He only has the Q. Songwon outranges it, and they pull away. So Kingzone know they need this objective, but are being very respectful around it. No play the Ruin King onto Prey, so Baron speed is an issue for the side of Kingzone, and that's why they don't fully commit.
Nearing 27 minutes now. ROX buy themselves some more time. We got a 4-0-2 super fed Sion. Not going to be any damage items. It just means that he's going to be even more tanky than he originally was by his full Warmogs as his third item.
Does mean he can peel away and be so annoying in the re-engages with the extra healing that should be available to him soon. With the free health, I imagine he's above the 3,000 health threshold, but we'll get the confirmation in a little bit.
He was making so many plays where he put himself into right underneath all of the members of ROX Tigers in Game 2. This time he buys a stopwatch. Not sure if he had it. I never saw him stopwatch in Game 2, but certainly will help him out if he wants to go super deep once again.
It's for the stone plate as well. That's going to be the build, and has enough health that the stasis effect to take away aggro is probably going to be enough. He is above 3,000, so the Warmog's healing is going to be online. He's playing the side lane with a banner minion. ROX Tigers cannot find a way to actually scout out much of the Baron area. Another turret goes down, 4th of the game for Kingzone, but still not able to break open the game like they wanted to pre-30.
Speaking of items here, a very important one picked up for Lava. That Zonia is going to be of the utmost importance if she's being dove underneath turrets or anything like that. Can buy you so much time to reposition yourself, which is super important as Cassiopeia.
No QSS for anyone to reposition themselves other than the Tahm Kench. They go on to Gorilla.
Yeah, they get the flash here. Sungwon does get low, but an easy devour gets him to safety. So no flash anymore onto Gorilla.
On backs away. He's finally been able to get the lane control. Has been denied from him for the majority of this game. This series also. He has certainly not been a tier above Linderong, despite what you might expect. With Khan's legacy still undefeated in terms of best of threes he's played all the way through.
Another bait. And Songyun says, I know exactly which brush you're in. Hits him with an arrow. The waiting game continues. Kingzone, they have so much control and they are ahead in this game, but still no Baron. Peanut looking perhaps for a play. Blasting, planting over. But he's all alone at this point. Not going to go in just yet.
The team's playing really defensively around the fact that Tahm Kench is the only one with QSS, so Peanut, as we've seen more increasingly with these Skarners in the last couple of weeks, has found very little value. Seems like Sion will have to do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the engage, and then you can use terrain against him because the drifting only takes you so far. We continue to breathe. It's only a 3,000 gold lead. The items are starting to register. 3 items onto the Cassiopeia, soon to be a Hurricane or a Phantom Dancer onto Songyun. Whereas the Blade of the Ruin King kind of stalls the actual true item power. You can add AD and AP to any champion, but the spikes will always be the same as red buff not stolen away from Songyun.
Songyun really on top of that, and once again, ROX Tigers have made it super interesting up against the #1 team in Korea and in the world, trying to hold their own here and make things interesting all the way to Game 3.
Because of the river control, BDD going missing does mean the impending doom of the unstoppable onslaught. So once again, ROX have the presence of mind and also the latitude to be defensive, but another Baron attempt, 3rd of the game. Are they going to be in position to stop it?
This one seems a bit more unexpected, but finally, ROX Tigers biting onto it. They know something's happening. That's not a fast Baron. Look at how slowly that goes down. They do not have enough damage with only Ezreal picking away at that.
And that's what it means. That's the reality of the comp. They need the picks. They've drafted for the picks. They're not getting them. And the Baron attempts are about trying to find someone out of position and then looking for a pick through that. So they back away again. There's nothing that's been granted. We've quested 31 minutes into the game. While the game's certainly far from over from a Kingzone perspective, ROX are really trying to cement the items that should serve them very well in a 5v5.
Mountain Drake is huge. If they could pull this off and then go towards the Baron before ROX Tigers go for it, it will certainly up their Baron damage. So the Mountain Drake does go down, and ROX do gain control of the Baron pit for now. Looking for an engage onto Gorilla. He doesn't have his flash. There it is. The kidnap comes in. They want to burst him down as soon as possible, but the disengage coming in. And now Khan in the back line. But here comes Linderong going to stun down Prey, who does get over the wall. No one has died just yet. BDD from the left side is going to get the huge smash down. And Khan now jumping on in. He's going to get on top of them all. Finally, the Varus does go down. And Lava, not enough damage to take him out. Linderong, the only one left in the end, and the big engage from BDD makes it work again.
Great positioning on that. Gonna try and clean up some kills, getting the smite away as a start. See if they go for the Baron from this. They do have some great tankiness, but Prey is out of mana. Let's see what Kingzone decide, because that's the Team 5 victory denied from them for 32 minutes.
You can see that Linderong is doing a good job of denying the backs. They're thinking about it once again. Speaking of denying backs, they're not going to let Linderong back off of that one. As here we go again. Prey extremely low, but there's no threat right now onto him. So 3 members of Kingzone getting to work onto this Baron. The TP comes in, and they're going to fight it here. Prey, even super low, can he get on top of this? Ezreal, doesn't look like it. Linderong TP's into it, and a mistake as he goes down.
He felt like he had to complete it, otherwise he would turn onto Baron, which was correct. But that means that he had no good options. It was a lose-lose coming through from Linderong. Canceling there would probably have meant Baron, even with the relatively slow speed from Kingzone. So they take the kill, they back away, the items are complete, and Kingzone want to recreate that moment and get the Baron to actually close the game.
BDD sitting at 6-0-5 reminds me of last year when he was playing mid-Galio tank. You just never die. You engage, you go in. They can't focus you. You're Sion, you have unlimited CC. It's incredible. It's working out.
Now Linderong is dead and teleport is down. This will be a true 5v4. When will the turn come? Because BDD, the choo-choo train's ready to go.
Here we go, gonna threaten it here as Lava is gonna be hit in the front. There's that damage, trying to tip him down somewhat. Not able to get the steal here, and now they're trying to engage onto Key. Can they actually do it? That Roar of the Slayer is gonna be enough to slow him, and Prey will get the kill. Lava's gonna go down to a double kill after the Baron, and now they're looking to end it.
Beautiful Baron play. That was the set play that Kingzone wasn't able to make in previous series. BD knew his role. 4 to 5 members cannot kill the Sion. He is too tanky, too early. They take the Baron, they get the exit kills. Great stuff from Kingzone.
Certainly a very perfect play when you compare it to some of the other plays we've seen so far. And now with the Bannon minion coming in, Kingzone thinking about it. TP on the side of Khan will be ready to go in. And there it is, trying to engage on Sangyu now. There's no escape for this guy. Pino wants to pick up the kill. It's going to go over to Prey, who is now getting near legendary. Oh, look at that. Linderong trying to make things interesting. We'll see if he actually can. Prey tanking up that turret. Maybe Kingzone bit off a little bit more than they can chew, but I've said that multiple times, and it's not been true many times, as they get another kill and looking for that Nexus, as nobody can take them out. Kingzone gonna win another series 2-1.
Big series here for Kingzone DragonX. They also stop ROX Tigers from once again opening up a big lead over SKT. So SKT fans, Kingzone fans for the day and maybe even for the future, depending on how the schedule goes. It was not a great day for Kingzone. They made a lot of mistakes all 3 games. There were things to improve upon, but their Baron setup was great in this particular game. BDD understood his role. Galio and Sion, we know they're very similar. It's the analogy I've made many times. It's another tank in the mid laner with CC, and it roams well. And we were also impressed with the Sion base damages. They were really on point and able to just trivialize the Cassiopeia. So just before the game was taken away, they get the control, they close out the series, and they are now 1 best of 3 away from guaranteeing themselves top 2.
Kingzone coach giving well-deserved pats on the back to everybody. Certainly everybody on the side of Kingzone stepped it up in Game 3. You mentioned all the mistakes that were made, but they do eventually take the win. ROX Tigers, they get so close. The game score is good. They at least pick up 1, but certainly some mistakes of their own. They're going to be having nightmares about in the future. They almost were able to take a 2-0 against Kingzone.
Look, at the end of the day, it's a top 3 team performance against Kingzone on the season. A great performance by ROX Tigers. A 2-0, if there wasn't just a couple of misplays at the end of game 1, would have been richly deserved. They are so harshly a team that does not pick up a match win today. This is the Baron setup. There's no way to kill. The Sion, they turn on to Songwon, whose passive is down. Sion tanks forever. Patch 8.4 Sion. This is why teams played in the mid lane. Great control from BDD. A great Baron setup. Wins the game for Kingzone.
Perfectly executed there in the last fight, as you can even tell on the side of Kingzone that everybody feels a moment of relief. It was a very tense game, even down to the last bit of it in game 3, as they can go home happy once again, trying to secure that first place spot. One more series win will do exactly that. Let's take a look at some of the stats of game 3. A shorter one, but certainly still a win.
These champions that we knew would be there in terms of damage never got online. Cassiopeia and the LCK has not been the big bit. We've seen it stuffed too many times by CC. And in general tanks, Galio first. Now we see the Sion doing his best Galio impression. Reminds me of SKT versus KSV, where Faker was the one on the Galio. The Sion play here, well-deserved. It should be an MVP for BDD. Wonderful performance there. The Ezreal hit his items at the right times, and while they grouped and they started Baron again and again, they didn't have the damage to finish it. Eventually, ROX had to walk up too far because of the vision control around Baron, and Kingzone just about took it. 34 minutes, not a minute too early for a Kingzone fan.
Yeah, so we had 3 games here in our first series. We thought this was going to be the short one. We thought it would be a quick 2-0, quick sweep from Kingzone, as we've become accustomed to, but ROX make it interesting. Of course, the next series is going to be KSV versus Jin-Air, the one we expected to take a lot longer. But before we do get to that, we are going to introduce our MVP. Of course, should be BDD here, 6, 0, and 10.
You know what? We might actually have another joint BDD and Kuro season MVP. BDD's only 100 points behind Kuro. These guys were the joint MVPs in summer season last year, and with a performance like that, a couple more games, it's going down to the wire on the season. The season MVP, which is of course a much lesser objective for the players than their team's success, is still something to look at.
Yep. Up at the top it says best driver, as well, that's what the Sion does. We've seen him do the drifting before, and certainly I feel like in this game there was a lot less drifting, a lot more just charging straight at your enemy, but he was good at that too. So either way, guys, we're going to hand it over to Suyeon and Ji-sun to help out with the translation.
킹존 드래곤엑스가 승리를 가져가게 됐습니다. 아마 선수들이 할 얘기가 참 많을 것 같은데요. 성승원 캐스터와 함께 만나보시죠.
DragonX, victorious of the victory of today. It was a long game for all the players. In the end, Kingzone DragonX picking up the victory. So, in one word, we can say today's match was a phew. Yeah, I agree with that. Even in the third set, I think ROX was playing so rigorously, so it was a hard day for us. BDD, how was this match? Well, I'm a little bit dizzy because we're yelling out so much in the gaming booth. We're just like calling up the names of the champions. Which one do we focus? And even BDD was down. He just making so much noise in the gaming booth. So game 1 had a lot of team fights, and it wasn't really unlike of Kingzone to have such a long game. So how was the first game? I think we did make a lot of mistakes in the laning phase. So in order for us to turn the tables around, we had to make it into the late games.
극복하는 그 과정도 한번 보여줬으니까 그 과정에 있어서 애쉬에 대한 생각들이 좀 많이 나왔거든요. 워낙 사실 예전에 프레이 선수의 시그너처 픽 중에 하나였죠.
And Ashe is one of your signature picks.
그리고 어려운 상황에서도 그 매날리기를 통해서 그 여러 가지 그
You
정보를
always
팀에게 제공하는 인상
perform some super plays during the game on Ashe. So I was matched with Ashe today. Well, it's one of my favorites. And today I think we had the angle to play Ashe. And also I want to thank Gorilla for doing well in the laning phase. Well, I'm a little bit sad that we made some mistake in the middle. To be specific, well, I wanted to take down Sejuani, but I guess it was a kind of mistake of me making that kind of decision.
그 장면을 물어본 이유가 있죠. 그것 빼고는 다 잘했으니까.
Well, but we do have clips of your highlights today.
볼까요? 네. 이 장면 어떻습니까? 네.
Well, this was awesome, right?
노렸다는 생각이 들 정도의 난전이었어요. 그런데 어떤 콜들이 있었나요 그때?
So what kind of conversations did you guys have over there? Well, Peanut was on the way, but I think it was a good play from ROX also.
네.
Maybe Gorilla could have survived a little bit longer.
네. 그래서 그 다음에 그 추격 끝에 멋진 장면을 통해 잡아.
Well, in the end, anyways, you got picked up the kills and the victory.
많이 지쳤었을 것 같아요. 근데 그 이후에 이거 쉽지 않구나 이 전투 장면이. 그래서 다시 추스르고 2세트를 맞이했을 것 같은데 어떤
Then going into the next games, what kind of feedbacks did you guys give to each other? So we just said that let's not make mistakes.
미칠 수 없이 하자고. 사실 그 BDD 선수 하면은 워낙 또 힙한 선수도 알려져 있잖아요.
Didier, you are one of the hipsters in LCK, you know?
리듬도 의태어 의성어 자체도 굉장히 리드미컬하게 표현하는 걸로 알고 있었는데 오늘 본인이 플레이했던 장면 중에서 가장 힙한 플레이.
Then what was the hyping moment of today's match?
그거밖에 생각이 안 나요?
Well, the moment I played Azure,
보여줄게.
my ult at near the Baron's Nest.
이거부터 한번 볼까요? 일단 카시를 초반에 좀 어렵게 만드는 그런 장면 중에 하나였어요.
So you did have a lot of lead in the laning
충분히
phase.
힙하지 않았어요?
Wasn't this hype enough?
네네네.
3세트는 무조건 이 장면이죠.
그리고
Well, speaking of the third game, this is definitely the most sexy play of today.
네. 뒤를 돌면서 한 손으로 후진하는 듯한 그런 아름다운 움직임이 있었거든요. 어땠어요? 여기 추격할 때 어떤 콜이 나왔나요?
이때 그냥 다 같이 막 소리 지르면서
So we were just yelling at each other, like, let's go a little bit more, a little bit more.
멋진 장면을 연결시켜서 이제 마무리를 줬었는데 사실 그 워낙 오늘 경기에 있어서는 정말 많은 그 뭐랄까요 팬들의 그 질문들이 계속 올라왔었어요.
And we have a lot
이
of questions from the fans.
여러분들 두 선수라기보다는 그 팀원들에 관련된 그런 질문들이
And it's
많은데
about the teammates and
질문
King
한번
Zone.
한번 해볼까요? 첫 번째인데
The
사실
first one is
고릴라 선수가 오늘 마크롱을
Gorilla gave away sweet desserts for all the King Zone fans out here.
보면서 어떤 생각이 들었어요?
What's your comments about that?
범현이가 일찍 일어나서 원래 경기 날은 살짝 좀 늦게까지 자는
Well, Gorilla did wake up early in the morning today, and he prepared all the things for the fans.
대단하다 약간 이런 생각을 했어요.
이걸 왜 여쭤봤냐면 질문이 이 질문이었어요.
So the question is,
뭐 보통 뭐 화이트데이든 뭐
well, in Korea, you know, people celebrate White Day on March 14, just like the way you do on Valentine's Day. So if we just say that all the King Zone members were women, who do you think that Gorilla would give the gift to?
그럼 뭐 종인이 형한테 주지 않았을까요?
왜요?
Well, maybe to Prey, because Prey is sexy.
사실 BDD도 자랑스러워하는 그 여러 가지 움직임도 있잖아요. 네.
전에 보험을 BDD한테 주지 않았을까?
Well, I think he would have given it to BDD because he's a treasure of King Zone DragonX.
이런 본 트레저인 입장에서 왜 못 받았을 거라고 생각해요? 고릴라 선수도 그만큼 BDD를 아끼고 있다는 얘기.
So why do you think so?
평소에 범현 형이 종인이 형 본 눈빛이 좀 이상하더라고요.
Well, the way Gorilla looks at Prey is a little bit special,
막 쳐다보더라고요.
a little bit moody, so a little bit romantic.
무리하네요 지금.
아, 그만큼 워낙 그 보티오가 좋은 합을 만들어낸다는 얘기를.
Well, maybe that's the method of the teamwork between Prey and Gorilla.
경기가 지금 2라운드 마지막 경기가 여기 강남 FC는 이제 마지막
So
경기거든요.
this was your last match in
2대1 승리를
Sport TV
따내면서
Games.
또 하나의 매직 넘버를 쌓게 됐는데 얼마 안 남았거든요.
And
위한 그 길 얼마 남지 않았고
you guys are really
오늘도 굉장히
close
뜨거운
to
활동을
making it to the
펼치면서
finals.
TV를 통해서 또 현장을 통해서 함께
Would you like to say any last comments for your fans?
이제 오늘 되게 이제 힘든 경기했지만
We did struggle a lot today,
아마 한 경기 이기면
but we do know that we're just one match away for the finals. So we're gonna make sure to prepare hard to make it to the finals. Thank you.
자, 이어서 보물 같은 BDD.
오늘 경기 되게 힘들었는데
Yeah, it was a hard match for us today.
경기만큼 더 열심히 연습해서 다음
So we're
경기
gonna
꼭
practice
이기고
hard back in the gaming house, so to make sure that we're gonna make it to the finals of the spring split. So this will be the end of the interview with Prey and BDD from Kingzone DragonX, and I'll throw it back to our casters.
한 발짝만 남겨놓았다는 소식을 전해드렸습니다. 지금까지 두 명의 선수와 인터뷰하면서 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
Thank you, Ji-san, for the translation. Gotta love the interviews over here at Spo TV. Feel like we always bring out the best in the players.
A lot of people want to know.
Confirmed sexy. I think we all knew that already, but the players also confirming it.
Look, a lot of people want to know the what-ifs about who would date who in other scenarios, so that's what we bring you here at Spo TV. There was probably some League of Legends. I can't remember. That interview was too memorable. But Kingzone in this game, they went for that comp that can be very difficult for other teams to execute. The mid lane Sion goes 1-1 on the day. This time they don't put everything into the Cogmore. The bot lane was much improved in their performance. And while it was definitely some toiling to actually close the game, took a long time to actually take the Baron, one good BDD play around the Baron closed it out.
I love this play too. It shows you what Sion can do with someone who can lock someone else down, and it's just free CC for days. And this was another one where they engaged on in, and BDD definitely deserving the MVP, but I feel like Sion also deserves a part in the MVP if we could shout him out as well. Pretty good on 8.4.
Who knows? Maybe you make it work on 8.3 if you're just that accurate on the hitbox of the Roar of the Slayer. This was BDD deciding that no one was passing him. And what can they do? They close the game from here. Good close from Kingzone, on time as well, any longer. And there certainly would have been some more damage behind the threats from ROX. Sadly, at this point in the game, everyone's running away from BDD, who had just the most tankiness to last forever.
Today's result, if you guys missed it, game number 1 and even game number 2 were pretty crazy, but especially game number 1, 62 minutes, went the distance, everybody had 6 items, and the ROX Tigers almost won. They had the Elder Drake, they made a play around the Baron, and they went a little bit too far, and that led to their ultimate demise, but definitely a series that ROX Tigers can look back on and say, hey guys, we were pretty close to taking out Kingzone.
So what does it mean? It means that Kingzone DragonX are one match win away from guaranteed first place, even with 2 series to play. It's all about 5th spot though. KSV potentially could fall away, but realistically it feels like 5th is a spot that's most up for grabs. Now Jinair and SKT, with Jinair playing in our next matchup, are suddenly salivating at the chance that if you win as Jinair over KSV, you move into 5th spot. SK Telecom, if they win, also can move up. So there's so much movement between 4th and 7th on the ladder that really anything can happen. And who knows, MVP with the right results can make things happen too.
Yeah, I mean, we still got 4 games for the majority of everyone else that's left available. So anything can happen. It always gets really fun at the end of a split because, I mean, we could have anyone. It could be Jinair that's in the playoffs with the ROX Tigers. You know, KSV and SKT is the expected one, but literally anything could happen, Papa.
Well, it sounds like about 20 minutes, guys. We're starting a little bit later, but Jinair versus KSV is our second series.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys in about 20 minutes.